Okay, so welcome back to the Northerner Network. My name is Dan Schessel, and today on the Nerdcast, we have none other than, of course, Chelsea Thompson. Say hello.
Hey guys!
And on today's show, we also have a very special guest. We have Ramin, right?
Yeah, you got it. That's right.
From Extra Life. Yes. Say hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you actually came on to the show today. This is going to be. I'm very excited for this show.
Well, the check cleared, so.
That's good. All right, good.
Phew.
I know. My whole budget of $0 is going a long way.
Exactly.
We're all rich. Hooray.
Yeah. So yes. So we have Extra Life we're going to be talking about today. But first off, we're going to start off, as always, with how our week was. And today we're going to start off with Chelsea, just to show Ramin how it's done. So Chelsea, how was your week?
Yeah, my last couple of weeks have been pretty good. I finished a temporary contract for one of the old places that I used to work at the last time I lived in town, which was really nice to go back and see familiar faces. And now I'm just getting ready to start picking up shifts at my new job I got hired on by the Vancouver School Board. So fancy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That should be good. And actually, as soon as the Nerdcast is done tonight, we've got some friends coming over for board game night. Yeehaw!
Awesome. Which games are you going to be playing tonight?
Oh, we've got some fun ones. Actually, my boyfriend just picked up a new card game that we played once, which is hilarious. It's called We Did Not Play Test This at All.
Okay.
That's not safe.
Basically, it's cards with a whole bunch of instructions on them, and you just do whatever the card says. And literally, I kid you not, the first time we ever played it, the first person drew the first card and won the game. It was her. We were hanging out for her birthday, and the card said, "If you have a birthday this month, you win the game."
Aw, that's
awesome.
Yeah. So that's great fun. What else do we have? We have a game called Telestrations, which is basically like the telephone game, except with drawing.
Yep.
So you get a phrase, and you draw it down, and then you pass your drawing, and the next person has to guess based on what you drew, and then the next person, they pass it on, and then they have to draw based on what that person's guess is, and it makes it around the circle. That's pretty hilarious. All kinds of points for, like, drawings that make you laugh, and if you get them right, make it around the circle, and yeah, that's super fun. And then maybe some Forbidden Island, because who doesn't like a cooperative game now and then?
Awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
so Ramin, how was your week? Like,
not bad. I'm working and in school right now, so life is really busy. Plus, we're planning the charity, so I'm kind of just running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Yeah, that's about it. It's just lots of work and school. My life is super boring right now outside of gaming. So, playing a lot of Witcher. Witcher 3 is kind of dominating my life outside of Destiny. I am enamored with it. I loved Witcher 2. It's probably one of my favorite games ever. And this game is better than that. It's super long, so I think I'll be playing it like for the next 2 years probably. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
awesome. Well, for me,
How was your week, Dan?
for me, it's been really busy. I've been, working. I was on 19 days straight for 10-hour days, and I'm kind of glad I am off of that. I had an actual weekend off this weekend. However, it didn't feel like an off weekend. Friday, I ended up having to watch the kids because Trina had to go out. She had some self-defense class that she was at, so she's learning some jujitsu and taking out, people with knives and things like that, which is pretty awesome.
Yes.
And then on top of that, on Saturday, I actually had to, go visit my very sick aunt who's in the hospital right now for cancer. So that was kind of sad. I had to drive all the way down to Calgary to go visit her, and my grandpa, who's also not doing so well. So it was not a very good weekend for that.
It sucks.
And then I drove back that night to make it back for Pulp. What was that? There was a festival on this weekend.
Pure Spec?
Pure Spec. I was at Pure Spec.
Pure speculation.
Yes. So I went there this weekend just for the day, anyways, and got to learn how to fight like Buffy.
I was just gonna say, our good friend Janine was teaching the Buffy class at Pure Speculation.
Yes, and so actually I didn't actually learn how to fight like Buffy. I learned how to die like a vampire in the Buffy show. So it was a lot of fun. I actually had a great time there. It's a very small community that kind of shows up to this thing, and it seemed like everybody kind of knew everybody who was walking around there. It was very nice actually. I really enjoyed it.
Trina and I went out to that last year, and we both had a really good time. The smaller sort of feel it is really nice because you can actually have some good chats with the exhibitors that are there. Like, we got some really awesome interviews and an amazing rendition of That Hat Makes You Look Like an Idiot.
Yes, that was
What is that?
So there is an artist, and oh my goodness, I've forgotten her name. She's based out of Calgary. But she pens songs inspired by her many nerdy loves, one of which is Firefly. And so the red and orange and yellow hat that Jane gets in the series, there's a line where Mal says, "That hat makes you look like an idiot." So she wrote a song called "That Hat Makes You Look Like an Idiot."
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, so I absolutely enjoyed the whole day there. I've been wanting to go to this thing for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now.
This was their 10th year too.
I know, and it's been like I found out about it a few years back, and I'm like, I want to go, but every single year it seems like it's just the worst possible time for me to go to this thing, and so I made a very big point to make it this year, and I was very happy that I actually got to make it, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to do it with my whole trip to Calgary and everything. So.
Well, it's pretty good stuff. I believe it's Stan who organizes that, right? Stan Wu? Woo!
Yes, he is part of the
yeah, and
Brent.
He's always good stuff, yeah.
Yeah, Brent, I got to meet Brett Jansen?
Brent Jans.
Brent Jans, that's right. And he is going to be at Extra Life this year as well.
Yep.
Doing some sort of tabletop game for 24.
Hopefully. We need somebody to run that.
Yeah, he said he was going to do it, so. And that was my week. That's how it went. So.
Ended on a high note. That's good.
It did end on a high note, at least. So it was good. It was good. No scary spiders or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that topic of discussion.
Yes. Speaking of scary spiders, you guessed it, nerds and nerdettes. It's that time of the evening. Let's delve right into the news, shall we?
Is this your news jacket? You're taking off your news jacket?
Yeah, I'm just taking off my news. I'm sweating. Like, this thing's so hot. I'm
How
down.
you were wearing?
Well, I'm in the basement, and the basement is typically very, very cold. Up until I have the computer running for a while and the Xbox running and everything else that's running in the background, and then it heats up in this room and it gets very hot. So it's now time to take off my. It
is now news and jacket time.
Yeah. Time. I need some music, by the way.
For every news item, Dan will remove a piece.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wanted a game viewership.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, so our first news item tonight, which is kind of super fun fusion of pop culture and science, which is always fun when that happens. So 2 archaeologists working in Iran have discovered 2 new species of spiders. And being nerds, they have decided to name the spiders after 2 actors who have portrayed Spider-Man. So they named the spiders after Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, which is super fun. And the link, which I have posted to our Facebook page, so you too can follow along, has pictures of the ones that they discovered, and these things they look pretty big, kind of like cousins of the tarantula-esque. So yeah, they're pretty fun, and the names are there, which is really cool. So yay, new spiders named after pop culture nerdiness.
Now, like I don't know. I don't want to get into this too much, but what is a better Spider-Man to you?
Maguire. Or no, sorry, not Maguire. Garfield, by far. Yeah.
I like Maguire for the first movie. I have to say the first movie is still.
I think because
well, they should have stopped. I mean, that's a fault with the production, the movies as a whole. Number 2 is worse, and number 3 was just.
It just went downhill really fast.
I remember 2 being so good when I watched it, and then now I watch it again, and I'm like, did he lose his powers because he like had a bad dream? Is that what happened? Like, I don't really understand the logic of that movie, but I remember thinking it was so good when it came out.
Yeah, I remember being fairly good. I remember being pumped for all of them, but I remember watching number 3 and being so mad every step of the way, and I'm like,
it's awful.
My biggest beef was what they did with Venom. Like, I don't mind Topher Grace.
Yeah.
But he would have been a way better Carnage. He's not a Venom. He's a Carnage.
Well, and Sam Raimi hated that character anyway. He didn't even want to put him in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, they had too many characters in the movie anyways. That was the biggest drawback of that whole movie, is like they had way too much going on. But that's a whole different topic for another time. Spiders are awesome, and it's so glad to see Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire also.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Spiders are terrible. They're horrifying creatures at night.
Apparently, these spiders are venomous, poisonous, however not harmful to humans, which I think is a pretty apt sort of description when it comes to Spider-Man.
As a full-blooded Iranian and a nerd, I am kind of disappointed in my own people.
I don't know if the archaeologists who discovered them are Iranian. I think they were just...
In Iran? Okay.
In Iran? Yeah.
Iran?
Then maybe it's okay.
So yeah, that's super fun.
I'm like a hardcore entomophobe, so like this whole story just terrifies me. The idea of insects is just like, let's move on.
Well then, let's move on to something super fun that I know will make at least Dan very happy.
As always.
As previously posted on the Northern Nerd Facebook page, Daniel and Trina already have their tickets for The Force Awakens. And there has been an exciting announcement that due to the way the rights shake out of when they have their agreements with different distributors, 6 months after its cinematic release, Star Wars The Force Awakens will be available to stream on Netflix in Canada only.
Yay!
Yay!
And that's really because of what's it called?
Because Star Wars has the maple fever. I don't know what else.
The maple fever.
So at the moment, somebody else has the rights to Star Wars.
Yes.
For streaming, and they can't necessarily make that statement
until 2016 when it switches over.
Yeah, exactly. So more than likely, Netflix is going to get Star Wars in the U.S. at the exact same time as Canada. But for now, Canada wins.
This is like console exclusivity all over again.
Yes. It's amazing though that 6 months after the
cinematic release, yeah, that's super fast.
That is super fast. I thought it was 8 months for a minute.
I'm pretty sure it's 8 months.
It's 8 months.
Okay.
That's still really fast.
It's still very fast.
Still, yeah,
and
less than a year after the cinematic release.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when is the DVD going to come out? Like 3 months after the movie comes out?
Probably. I would imagine that Blu-ray is going to come out pretty quick because they want to cash in on it.
They're gonna be cashing on everything right now. Like,
yeah.
Well, and of course it'll be like the Lord of the Rings, right? It'll be the first cut release, and then it'll be the special extended edition release.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
It's
already such a bad thing for Star Wars. It's like the antithesis of what Star Wars.
There's already so many bad things for Star Wars. Let's not ruin it anymore.
Yeah. We don't need more special edition. I don't think that's going to happen with George Lucas not involved anymore.
Well, that's true.
I do think it's interesting just the way that this like I feel like this story itself, it probably isn't as big a deal, like wouldn't be a big a deal if Star Wars wasn't attached to it, but I think it's an interesting look at like what movies like the industry is like now, because the theater almost doesn't matter anymore. It's almost like the theater is like a hype train for when it's released onto digital, so that people will actually watch it.
Yeah, like digital releasing, Netflix just period is more exciting. Like watching movies at home for me seems to be more exciting for me nowadays.
Well, we talked a bit, I think it was before we went on summer break, there was a story that we covered in one of our news items talking about how, I believe it's Brad Pitt, signed a deal with Netflix to produce a movie that would get a direct release onto Netflix simultaneously when it was released.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly, like, they came for Blockbuster, I think. I know there are certain genres of movie that will never be the same experience, not on a giant screen, but I think that might be the wave of the future. You know, you have the choice of whether you go see it in the theater or stay in your sweatpants on the couch.
They made it too challenging to enjoy the theater experience, in my opinion. Like,
Yes.
I went to see Jurassic World in VIP because the person that we were gone to bought VIP tickets. It's like the worst film experience I've ever had, because it's just this like it's a room with like half the size of amount of people that should be in a movie theater, and every 5 minutes somebody comes to bring someone next to you terrible smelling food that's way too overpriced, and I'm paying a premium to even be in this area of the theater at all. What is the point of it?
If I wanna drink a beer and stuff my face with junk food and recline, I want to do it in my sweatpants on my own couch.
Right. Why would I pay $20 to be surrounded by other people doing that exact same thing? Why?
So here's what me and my wife do. When we go to the VIP theater, and we've done it a few times, we use scene points. So 1,000 scene points will get you into a movie at Cineplex.
Right.
1,000 scene points will get you into the VIP theater at Cineplex. Same amount of points for the VIP theater.
Right.
And it's like, well, you might as well just go to that one just for the. And I like having the beer while I'm sitting there watching the movie.
I think I'm like a weird purist, because like I mean, when I was a kid, like Snakes on a Plane, right? I saw that movie in the theater, and that movie is garbage, but it was one of the most, like, I will never forget that experience, because it was me and like 70 other people in a theater, all knew exactly what we were there to see, and like everyone was like cheering, and when
Samuel L. Jackson being a mother effing badass.
Exactly. And so it's like, that experience was great. I didn't need beer and like these fancy seats and this whole thing. I feel like they've completely ignored the fact that like the theater experience is supposed to be an experience. It's not supposed to be this like lounging, lazy, pretend you're at home, but for like twice the price. It's just, I don't know.
But it just goes to show you how much they're like afraid of that exact experience.
Right.
They're afraid of you sitting at home watching it on Netflix on your couch, and they would rather give you that experience in a theater just to draw you in. Say, hey, come on.
And it's like, but it gives me the like complete opposite effect. I just have no interest in going to the theater anymore.
Wow. The theater is still awesome, and I still like to go to the AVX one. That's a
Yeah, you get to choose your seats.
Yeah, I like choosing my seats because I don't like fighting for a spot to sit.
I don't like going to the movie an hour early to get a seat.
Exactly. I'm old and lazy now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. My knees don't work the way they used to.
Exactly. I don't need to sit around forever. I'm old, and apparently now Harry Potter is going to be old.
Oh yeah.
That's right. So latest news for Harry Potter fans. 10 points for the segue, by the way.
Yeah, fantastic. That was not bad.
Thank you.
I think that's going to be your button this year. 10 points for the segue.
10 points for the segue.
Make you a little button. Yeah, Harry Potter fans kind of received huge news. So J.K. Rowling is always
Pippin.
writing, has penned a new chapter in the Harry Potter saga that's going to be released as a stage play in London in the summer of 2016. This will take place where the Deathly Hallows Part 2 leaves off, 20 years after the fact. Harry's all grown up, has kids of his own, and it will focus on Harry and his youngest son, Albus Severus. Yeah, so the plot synopsis that's, or I guess sort of the brief, like, throw it to the press teaser, sounds really interesting. I'm a big Harry Potter fan, so I would be interested in seeing it if I, could afford the airfare to fly to London to see it. But I'm really interested to see how it plays out in the medium of theater. That's one of the things that J.K. Rowling's talked about in a lot of the press and releases that have come out, that how this came about. It became clear that a play was sort of the best medium to make it happen versus a movie or another book. So I'll be interested to see, once it goes up and reviews start coming out, what about it makes it more appropriate for the medium of theater.
Sorry, you go.
I'm really interested in seeing like a Harry Potter meets like American Beauty, like just like a disastrous marriage after 20 years, and then like throwing plates at each other. Harry buys like a really fancy sports car wand.
He's drunk.
Yeah, he's drunk on butterbeer all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got a butterbeer belly.
Well, I am hoping, along those veins, I am hoping it's a little bit darker, and all signs point towards it being like a straight theatrical production, not a musical or anything like that. So if that's the case, who knows? They're not going into rehearsals for it until the spring, so a lot can happen in that time.
It was pretty dark.
If it is a straight play, I really hope that they delve a little bit into the darker side of, like, grown-up Harry Potter.
Yeah, I'm curious. I like the idea of them doing it as an adult. The stage play stuff is interesting because it's like, how do they portray magic?
Mm-hmm.
How much magic will actually be as a part of the story?
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. Like, are they going to be flying around and doing that game that they play? I don't know. The Quidditch, yeah. I don't know. Like, there's so many things that would be kind of interesting to see them actually attempt to do for Harry Potter. I was never a huge Harry Potter fan as it was, but the idea of a stage show, to me, it seems like it's going to be another kid-friendly show because they're bringing his kid into it, right? So.
I honestly, actually, thinking about it, think any sort of magic that they do is probably one of the things that will be best suited to a stage production. I mean, when you go, it's the age-old tradition of your willing suspension of disbelief as you sit and observe that, fourth wall that doesn't get broken. And if you think of larger stage productions like Wicked, like The Lion King, the stuff that they can achieve in modern, especially in London and the West End, their stage productions are huge.
Yeah.
I think just the fact of seeing what they can achieve will add to that sense of magic. So I think that part of the story is actually quite well suited to being produced on the stage. So.
I kind of agree with you. I think theater magic versus movie magic, theater magic is always more interesting because it takes a lot more creativity.
Well, and you see something happen, you're like, I know that they're physically doing that. How did that actually happen, right? It's got that bit of, like, trying to figure out how it happened, yeah.
Have you guys seen Book of Mormon?
No, I haven't. It sounds
I
nice.
saw it when it came into Edmonton, and like just this conversation reminds me of it because the way they transformed the stage between like Utah and Africa, in like very quickly, like it's almost in like not even an interlude. It's like between a song.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, and like I hadn't been to the theater in a really long time before I saw that, and it just reminded me of like the amount of work and detail and thought that goes in behind stage production and all they have to do. So this could be really cool. Like between this and Spider-Man, I think Harry Potter is probably far more suited.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that they could do that would be absolutely fantastic. Like you said, the magic and end of it would be really cool to see if they can do it right.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm kind of like I wish J.K. Rowling would stop. I just wish she would stop. Like this
Yeah.
is too much. Like it's over. You put 6 out 7 books and 8 movies. Just get over it already.
it's enough. You know, it's okay. It's okay to let Harry Potter die.
Yeah.
It's fine.
You can have other ideas. No one's gonna be mad at you.
I think, what is it? What's the portal that she created? What is it, Pottermore?
Yeah.
Basically, like the fan, and so I think a lot of it. I don't know if the initial like kernel of the idea came from like fan fiction that was submitted or people who curate the site because there are 2 other sort of co-creators, co-writers that are named on the sort of creation of the play. And so I'm not sure if they were curators of the site or something like that, but I know that a lot of it came from that.
Mm.
So I mean, if the fans are demanding and you've got the ideas, why not, right?
Yeah, I guess.
You know there's an audience for it.
Yeah, there's going to be definitely an audience for Harry Potter into eternity.
I think I've always just been the type that's like, leave them wanting more. Don't give them more when they ask for it all the time.
Yeah.
And yet, here's
I
more
felt
Star
the
Wars.
books and the movies ended
Right.
well. I thought it was a good place to leave them, but
Meanwhile, I'm like, could you just make Mario Galaxy every year? That'd be great.
Just a reiteration of Mario 64.
Just over and over. I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Just
it's
please.
perfect. It'd be
Keep
awesome.
it
speaking of leaving them wanting more, something that I'm sad to see go. So our next news item on the list
That's
Good
tempting.
segue.
That's good.
sounds that yes. For me, we should Dan, you should get a little whiteboard and we should just keep a tally during the news section.
I'm gonna have to get one. Hold on.
The segue tally for the news portion of the evening. So recently announced that Mythbusters will be going off the air at the end of their 14th season. After several hundred episodes.
250.
Yeah.
Milestone.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Now,
Something like almost 2,000 different myths.
I didn't even know there were that many myths. I defy someone to make a list of how many of those were actual myths.
it's amazing how many there's 2,950 experiments and 1,050 myths.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes
And
one.
900 explosions. And they're saying that this is going to be the most explosive final season that they're gonna do. They're gonna just blow everything up. It's gonna be awesome. And really, when you tune into MythBusters, you want to watch them blow something up.
I watched them pancake a car between 2 trucks once, which was like I think the coolest thing I've ever seen them do. It was amazing.
One of my favorites is still bifurcating a car when they went down to wherever the aerospace lab is. I think it's the University of Texas, where they have basically like a rocket engine on a sled, and they strapped a car to it and smashed it to basically like a steel snowplow wedge and split a car in half with a rocket
amazing.
engine.
That's awesome. I remember them doing they had a cement truck that they filled up with cement and then it hardened inside the tank. And then they tried to blow it up, and it didn't quite work. And then they drilled a hole into the cement and just dropped one stick. I think it was one stick of dynamite inside that, and then set that off, and the whole truck exploded. Like I couldn't believe it. I was so like, it was like the biggest explosion I've ever seen in my entire life, just because it was so compact inside the cement, and then all that pressure just blew the truck apart, and they were quite a distance away, and it still was a massive explosion, and it was amazing to watch.
I read an article recently, I think it was even yesterday, about this and how that show, like, despite, I can't remember exactly what they had, I'm paraphrasing the headline, but basically the article was about how, despite what people think about America, Mythbusters and its popularity proves that America and all of the fans of that show have like a craving for fact-based, data-oriented proofs.
Yep.
And I was like, that's a really insightful view of that show, because it really is that show is the scientific method on television.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the best shows on TV. Like, it's engaging and hilarious, and you leave the show actually learning stuff. You know, the way they break down the engineering, the way they build stuff, the way they break down the math, the way they break down the control when they're doing experiments. It's awesome. It's always, I mean, I've worked with kids for years, and anytime I'm programming, like, science curriculum or stuff like that, their videos are always a go-to. So it's awesome. Plus explosion.
Right, exactly, right.
And you get to learn science, like, and if you were, and it's like they trick you into liking science. I mean, really, they make it so fun that you're like, oh wait, I am actually learning something here. Like, this is actually fun, and that is really what they wanted to bring to that show. Like, they wanted to bring science and make it fun for everybody to watch, and they did such a fantastic job over the years.
And the times when they're just giant nerds, like something that just popped up on my Facebook feed recently, is Adam, who has an armful of like honking rubber chickens.
Yeah.
He uses them all and lets them all go at the same time, and is this like death knell of like rubber chickens going. Yeah.
I find it
Science coupled with stuff like that.
I think the thing that always kept me on that show, and there's like a YouTube channel I watch called Vsauce that does a similar thing where it appeals to my curiosity. I'm like a naturally just insatiably curious person, and I think it's because I'm just like always a big kid, and as a kid you're curious about everything, and you ask things in like you ask questions that as an adult when you ask them you're like, you know, how big is the moon, or like why is it gray, or like just these like, you know, can you split a truck in half? Could you pancake a car? Can you blow up a tank full of like cement? These like things that
let's find out.
Right. As a kid, you're just sort of like, I wonder if you could do that, and then just imagine it blowing up in your head. And this show is just like a visualization of that.
Exactly. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. Mythbusters, you will be missed. May you be syndicated and go on forever.
I'm pretty sure they are already, aren't they?
I don't know. I don't know if they air any place other than Discovery. I hope Discovery chooses to air reruns forever and ever.
I
know, honestly, you could run that show on repeat.
And you would never really get bored of it, because I mean, there's 248 episodes right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
so are there only 2 episodes left?
No, I think there's a few more. I think it's just said almost 250 episodes on the thing here. So much science in here. But speaking of science, we have another science story. We'll just skip the other one and go to the science one.
All right, we'll jump around a bit. I know we're running a little over.
Yeah, we're running a little late, so.
But
I really wanted to talk about this one because it's so.
Yeah, so jumping down, if you're following along with us, news item number 6, art with bacteria, which is pretty impressive. So the American Society for Microbiology just held its first ever agar art contest, challenging microbiologists to mix science with art. So culture bacteria on agar plates, making a picture. And the link that we have posted, there's some pretty impressive artwork. There's an entire map of the island of Manhattan. There's Van Gogh's Starry Night. All kinds of really cool stuff. And if you think about it, I mean, knowing what bacteria to culture, where to put it to make the colors that you want, the pieces that are larger that incorporate dozens of plates to make a larger picture. It's gross and beautiful at the same time.
That is absolutely disgusting and so amazing at the same time.
It's super cool.
I'm just fascinated by this map of New York. How much effort it would have taken to make that thing. That's a lot of.
It's all like biomatic too. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. There's just so much, and the painting of Starry Night, Van Gogh here is.
That must have taken so much work.
Even just because they're in the circle petri dish,
Right.
And then to get the shapes and everything to line up the way they did, oh my, it just. And then on top of that, getting the right cultures to the right colors, and then you have to grow that, and then oh yeah, disgusting and awesome at the same time. It's beautiful.
And I wonder how many sets that they did. I wonder if they had like backup sets in case some of the cultures didn't grow right or like.
Well, my Starry Night will work, but my Mona Lisa is almost ready.
Yeah, the worlds of science and art colliding in disgusting beauty.
As
Really?
I mean, we this is not the first time we've talked about disgusting art that's based in science. We had that butterfly one that was, or the moth one that was absolutely
Yes,
disgusting.
it was the Darth Vader head made entirely of bugs.
Oh,
Yes.
gross. Ew.
It was very disturbing.
But it was amazing.
but it was-
It looked so cool.
It was so beautiful
So horrifying.
and
Yeah.
horrifying at the same time, which is very. It captures really the
Darth
essence of
Vader's
Darth
essence.
Vader. Yeah,
Beautiful and terrifying.
Horrific beauty.
horrific movie. So yeah, that's pretty much all we have for our news items for the night.
I'm just going to give a shout out if you're following along or if you're listening later. News item number 5, do check it out. We don't have time to talk about it this evening, but it is really cool. It's a little close to my heart because I work with kids on the spectrum, so check it out. It's worth it.
Yeah,
Go Sesame Street and Muppets. That's all I'm going to say. Check it out. The article's there. It's pretty great.
Yes, and like even my yeah, it's good. It's very good, and Sesame Street is a very beloved show, and I'm so glad that it's going to be.
Well, and they've always
so-
been a forerunner at, new generations that come along, bringing on new characters to be more inclusive, and so this is sort of right on par with that.
I wonder how much their HBO deal gives them more leeway to do stuff like this.
I'm so glad that they're with them right now, because this is actually going to give them a chance to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And really, they can actually get some funding to actually do something now.
Yeah.
As before, they were only doing like 4 episodes a year. So I mean, it's good. I'm excited. I'm hoping that their deal is gonna bring in more stuff like this. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Totally.
Anyways, the reason why we're rushing to get into this next part is because we have a special guest tonight, Ramin here, who is with Extra Life Edmonton, which is very exciting because Extra Life is what? What is Extra Life? Let's go into that, and we're gonna start just asking you questions.
Sure.
We'll go into
Totally
Extra Life.
not.
Tell us all about it.
Yes, tell us all about it.
So Extra Life is an international charity. It is. It was started in 2008 by the Children's Miracle Network, or through the Children's Miracle Network anyway, and is now a CMH charity. Runs through North America, I think outside of North America as well. We, Extra Life Edmonton, are the guild leaders for Edmonton's chapter. Our team right now consists of, actually, I should actually update the numbers. A couple hundred
Type in that number.
team members. We've raised about $20,000. Actually, yeah, I just looked. We just raised $20,000. We hit the 20 grand mark, which is awesome. Probably the most we've ever raised at this point going into the charity, which is crazy. But sorry, I'm like getting ahead of myself. So
Anyway.
the charity itself is a video game marathon charity. At the end of October, beginning of November, depending on the year, the people who joined Extra Life and pledged and raised money will play games for 24 hours to honor that pledge and raise money for the Children's Hospital in their region. For Edmonton, and for most of people in Alberta, I think in Calgary you can pick the Calgary Children's Hospital. But in Edmonton, it's the Stollery Children's Hospital. And
Awesome, go Stollery.
Awesome. I was a former Stollery kid myself, so it's really important to me to give back to that community and to everyone in the team, to be honest. So when we found out about Extra Life about 4 years ago, it was me and Matt Dykstra, and we really wanted to, like, I mean, at the time, this was 4 years ago, right? And so it was just when the stereotype of like really lame nerds was kind of getting broken and it was becoming more popular, and we really wanted to make it an actual charity event. We had done a podcast before that for a few years and had gained some networks throughout the city and like local developers, people from BioWare or former people from BioWare that became our friends. And we thought that we had the connections to make it a real thing. We didn't have the business or marketing acumen, despite us both being journalists. It wasn't our forte to sort of promote ourselves. It was just sort of we had a lot of great ideas and a lot of friends who wanted to help us, but we didn't really know what to do with it. And then we went to PAX in Seattle, Penny Arcade Expo, which if you haven't gone is honestly a must. It's like one of the best events I've ever been to in my life. And when we went, we met some friends of ours, one of which is Chris Smith, who is still an organizer with us, and they were both marketing and business majors. And there was like
combination.
Right, exactly. There was like a whole group of us that went to dinner, and the four of us just happened to sit in a booth together, and we just happened to discuss the charity, and just like kismet, we all sort of joined together, and that was maybe 2 months before our first marathon. And in that 2 months, the four of us like pulled everything together. We had a lot of help from guys like Startup Edmonton and Fragapalooza and people who are still our sponsors and our friends now. And we had about 60 people in Startup Edmonton, which is a pretty small space. Honestly, it's like the size of a little bigger than my apartment, to be honest. And we crammed 60 people in there, and it was amazing. And I think we raised about $25,000 just as our team. The city itself, I mean, our team isn't the whole city, so there are other teams in the city that all donate to the Stollery. I think at that year we raised about 50, the whole city raised about 50 grand. And then, so the next year we did it again at Startup with about 80 people, and that was about 40 grand. And then last year we were in a hall in Northlands, the Expo Center, and we had about 150 people in and out, like throughout the night. And we raised, our goal was 50,000. We raised just under 60, and the city itself raised about 130,000 for the Stollery.
That's amazing.
Which is a crazy number. Like it's ridiculous to think that. And so this year our goal is 60, and we're already at 20,000. So who knows what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks? But we, you know, it's weird. Like I've said this story a few times at this point, but it never feels rote because it's so weird to me that we're even doing all of this every year, and that we have so many friends and so many sponsors and supporters who donate not just money, but like their time and their energy to cabling everything and making sure every single station has internet, and making sure all of our agreements are signed and everything is legal and everything is fine. And there's so much work to do, and I'm always every year just reminded of how generous people are, not just with their money, but when they see a cause that's legitimate, and when they see that the people who are working for it or doing the event are really like behind it and really believe in it, they will donate their time and their effort and their care to it, and it's amazing to me.
That's amazing. To me, like the Stollery is a charity that I think is so important to just about anybody who is a resident of the city of Edmonton.
Well, and that's the thing. This not to interrupt you, but the Stollery, their catchment area is not just Edmonton. It's Edmonton, most of Alberta, some of BC, and some of Saskatchewan. They have the biggest area of any hospital in the country.
Yes, exactly, and they serve so many people all over the place, and like I have two kids, right?
Right.
And both of them have been to the Stollery at one point or another. Like that is when your kid is sick or they're in
distress. That's
like the number one place you go and take your kid. Like that is the place, and the people who are at the Stollery are beyond anything else. They are so good with the kids. They're so good with everything, and it's just a great place. Like, and for being a hospital, which is typically not the place you really want to be at in the first place,
right.
That hospital, when you're there, you feel, oh, they know what they're doing. They're good at what they're doing. You just feel comfortable there, and it's just such a great place. I love it.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say I've been there as extended family, and not only are they good with the kids, but they're good with the families, which is, I mean, anxious and nervous parents when your kids are in the hospital.
Yeah.
That's the other half of the battle, right, is being as good to the parents as you are to the kids. And, yeah, they're amazing at what they do.
Yeah.
I was born with a heart condition. And so I was a Stollery, I was a U of A pediatrics patient before the Stollery was even a thing, really. And growing up with that kind of like physical trauma is not easy. And I really have always admired the Stollery for their ability to, not only deal with the parents, because that is, like, it's a whole other thing to be on that side of the thing. Like when my last heart surgery was when I was 21, and it was like the one before that was when I was 9. So as like a 21-year-old, as like a budding adult, to see my parents still express that same fear and anxiety when I'm a 21-year-old is really like eye-opening, because it makes you really realize the trauma they go through in that experience. And so the Stollery's ability to recognize that these kids go through experiences that will probably scar them in one way or another for the rest of their lives. It will affect them in for one way or another for the rest of their lives, and they recognize that and give them a way to ease into it and to ease back into their lives, and not just say, okay, you're treated, now go home. It's like it's a philosophy for them, and I really have always respected that.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, the hospital is like almost world renowned,
right,
for what they do there, and there's no better charity to be giving to, and no better real cause, right? So
yeah,
that's the cause. And let's talk a little bit more about the actual event itself. Like, you guys are
the best way to raise money playing games.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, you guys have a space. You guys said it was at is it Commonwealth?
I think, Commonwealth Rec Center this year.
Yeah.
We were going to be at Northlands, but there were some scheduling issues because this year's event is actually, I think, 2 weeks later than last year's event, or a week later than last year's event. So just didn't plan out, but we have a really great space. Our registration form is on our Facebook page. So to register for the event, you have to be signed up for Extra Life. You don't have to be on the Extra Life Edmonton team. You can be on any team and donate to any hospital of your choosing, because a lot of people have been signing up to like Rooster Teeth's team and other American sites or more popular sites if they want to. But you have to be signed up for Extra Life, and you have to have raised a minimum of $25, not a huge ask. And then go to our Facebook page, or you can contact us directly and get the registration form for the event itself. And then you can come to our event and game with like 150 other Edmontonians, and don't sleep and be exhausted for a week afterwards.
That's awesome.
So if our listeners want to find your Facebook page or contact you for that registration form, what are the addresses that they can do that at?
So if they go to Facebook, it's just Extra Life Edmonton. Just search Extra Life Edmonton. You'll see our logo. We're the first thing that comes up. If you go to the Extra Life page itself, which is extra-life.org, you can search Extra Life Edmonton also. We're on Twitter at YEG Extra Life, so YEG Extra Life. So you can find all of us. But our Facebook page is probably all over the interwebs. We don't do the grams or the snaps or any of that stuff, but probably the best way to reach us is on Facebook or through email. Our email is extralifeedmonton@gmail.com. Very simple. But yeah, just hit us up if you have any questions, if you want to volunteer, if you want to donate. We're always looking for volunteers. That's probably, other than donations, volunteers are probably the thing that we're always sort of clamoring for every year.
Awesome. Okay, so during this event, what kind of setup can you bring in? When you come into this event, what do I have to bring? Let's say me as a person, I'm coming to this event. What am I going to have to bring with me?
All you have to bring is your console or whatever you want to game on. So board games. If you want to play board games, bring your board games. If you want to play Cards Against Humanity all night, bring your cards. And please do, because I would love to play an all-night Cards Against. I would love to get 150-person Cards
Against. Oh my
goodness,
that would be amazing.
It would last all night, but yeah. So really, all you need to bring is whatever you want to game with or game on. If you're bringing a console and a monitor, we ask that it not be any larger than about 40 inches, which is still, that's a lot of space. We're trying to give people as much individual comfort space as possible. The unfortunate thing is for retro gaming, if you want to bring an NES or an N64, we aren't really letting people bring CRT TVs. If you really want to game that way, if it's the only way you want to game, then you can contact us and we can try and figure out some arrangements. But just for power purposes, having CRTs is a real drain, unfortunately. As much as I love the idea of someone bringing an NES and just playing that all night, it's not really logistically feasible.
Well, they can if they have a Retron, then I'm sure that would work, right?
Sure, as long as you can play it on a regular TV or a modern TV or on a computer monitor, then we're fine with that. But it's the CRTs themselves that kind of cause a bit of a power issue. Other than that, if you know that you're going to be with friends, try and all register together, because I don't think we quite nailed down how our seating is going to work this year. I know last year we tried to do assigned seating and it didn't work out as well as everyone. We got some feedback on it where people wanted different options. So we're trying to figure that out. But if you can all register together, then that's easier for us because then all the names are on the registration list and we can just sort of organize that. So instead of saying, well, I'm going to be with 4 friends, so I'm registering my own name and then I will be with X, Y, and Z. Just everyone registering at once is probably the most convenient way for everybody.
Awesome.
In terms of the physical setup of the space, you'll have an area where people gaming with video games will be, and an area where tabletop games will be. That sort of setup. Yeah.
So how it'll work is we're going to be in a gym. So the bleachers will be where as far as I remember. Don't quote me on all of this, but because we literally just looked at the floor plans and stuff the other day, but I believe the bleachers will be where the stage is. So there's going to be a stage with 2 projectors, and that's where some of our VIPs and our opening ceremonies and stuff will be. Facing that is rows and rows of tables that are facing each other, and they will be where all the gaming, the console and PC gaming will be. And then in the back, there's a back row of tabletop and card games and the food area where whenever the pizza comes in. And then in the far right is going to be where the Mad Jam guys are doing their thing.
Awesome.
So can you tell us a little bit about Mad Jam?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I'm eating grapes. Bad form.
Everybody needs snacks. It's an hour-long podcast. You need some sustenance to get through it.
I'm hyperglycemic and hyperactive. No, so Madsoft Games is a local developer. They have a number of games that unfortunately escape my memory right now, and it's really bad. But honestly, go check them out. Madsoft Games. They make some really, really fun games. I think they have an MMO out too that is pretty popular. And they're doing a game jam at our event. So it's going to be I'm not sure exactly how many people, but there's going to be a few teams making games over the course of the 24-hour period that we're doing our marathon. It's something that we wanted to do with them last year, but it didn't come together, and it's something we've been talking with them about for basically since the end of last year's event. We love the idea of making games at an event where games are being used to, raise money, and so it's one of the ways for us to say, this isn't just a charity; it's also a love of games and a celebration of games and making games and playing games in all forms.
That's awesome. Now, what kind of hours is this thing going to be running at? Like, when am I going to show up on the 7th here?
So, I think doors are going to be open at 12. The opening ceremonies are at 2. Officially, we go from 2 to 2, the 24 hours, but usually people come in at 12, and then on the Sunday morning they're starting to roll out by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, because it's grueling, and getting out earlier is probably better for most people. But that's kind of the time frame. Is 12 o'clock is the earliest we're letting people in to sort of set up and start gaming.
Awesome. Now, can people just come in and just watch what's going on? Like, can spectators show up? Like my wife, she's not going to be there, so she's.
I mean, we're perfectly comfortable with spectators coming in and out. We're going to be creating systems for people to identify what their own equipment is and stuff like that, so that won't be really a concern, because we're very conscious of safety and making sure everybody leaves with the stuff they came with, and only the stuff they came with, and so that stuff is always a concern to us. So you can have guests, you can have people come with you. I think when you register at the door, as long as you tell us, like my wife is going to come and hang out for a little bit, or my friend is going to come and see what this is like, we're perfectly comfortable with that. I think after a certain time, I'm not going to say exactly when because I'm not sure what our scheduling is going to be this year, but after a certain time we're going to lock the doors and say anyone who's not here for the 24-hour event and registered has to leave. But and that's mostly for security reasons. But
yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you don't want walking away.
Well, and also because the event itself is we see it more of a celebration of the effort that everyone on our team has put in to raise money and come to our events and donate to our silent auction and all of the things that we've done throughout the year. The event itself is not so much to raise money, though that's what we would like to do. It's more of a celebration for the people who have put all the effort in. So, when we lock the doors, it's more like, okay, everyone who we want to celebrate with is here.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
you did mention, though, that people who come to check it out, if they like what they see for at least a little bit of time, they will have the opportunity to register at the door.
I believe I'm not 100% sure on that, so I'm not going to answer that question because I don't want to say yes or no. I think it depends on how many registrations we get before the day of, because last year it was pretty much packed. Like we filled every table, so I don't think there was a possibility for that.
Well, and then respecting things like fire codes and
right, silly things like that. No one cares. Fire marshals, who are they?
Now, when you're at this event, breaks. How are you guys working the breaks? Can I go get a pizza or something like that? Or what's going on with that?
I don't.
Or should I bring all my food in a backpack and?
If you want to? You can do that. I know we're gonna have pizza and some food donated to us and coffee as well. I know last year people made food runs, people made coffee runs. We're always open. Like, we're not going to lock the doors and say you can't go out, or can't go for a smoke break or anything like that stuff. But there's going to be probably a system in place that we're ironing out because there's going to be more security this year because it's not at Northlands, it's a different system. So we have to honor their wishes in terms of security. But I know that we're going to be able to let people out and stuff like that. So I don't think that'll be that big of an issue. We don't want to restrict people, and I know at least until around, I think the concessions at the actual rec center will be open for some of the night, not for the whole 24 hours, but there are other options available.
Awesome. I had another question here.
Come on, man, get on it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Sorry, I had something, but I totally forgot.
I totally
Gone.
I'm sorry.
Now it's not
Yeah,
coming back.
terrible form.
I think you've covered all the major points. I believe Dan mentioned it's happening on the 7th, but the details of 7th to the 8th of November?
Yeah, November 7th, we're doing it on N7 Day, which is awesome for anyone who is a huge Mass Effect fan. And being in Edmonton, BioWare, obviously we have that connection, so expect some surprises. And be very excited. I'm super excited. This year is going to be very interesting because it's our second year of doing it in a hall with like a large group of people and raising as much money as we have. So it's just kind of all very daunting and November 7th. November 7th to 8th. We will also have some streaming stuff. We're going to be on Twitch. I'm not exactly sure exactly what we're going to be streaming because I think that stuff's going to get more ironed out as we get closer to the day. But we'd like to stream our tournaments. We'd like to stream things that other gamers are doing. Maybe have a stream that other gamers can just sort of switch in and out of, like a station where people can come in and just take over the stream for a bit. But we're going to be experimenting with some stuff this year that now that we have sort of the infrastructure and logistics down, we want to kind of expand what we're doing this year. So
that's awesome. Now that was actually going to be my question. It was the streaming end of it. Like now, if I want to be there, I want to like show some of the people who watch me or whatever.
Sure.
How is that all going to work? Like, you guys obviously have some streaming there now, but not everybody's going to be able to do it.
I don't see why not if you have the capability. I mean, in terms of like draining on the bandwidth, I believe we're set up in a position where that's not really going to be a concern, which is great. But I'm not guaranteeing that. So if everyone starts streaming, that might be an issue. But I don't think that's going to happen. So if you want to stream on the individual level, that's great. I think we're going to, depending on how much interest there is in that, we might set up a board that has everyone's streams on it so that you can, switch. People at the event can switch in and out or kind of put themselves up so that we can promote it on our stream and have other people watching our stream watch your streams.
Yeah.
We're always open and looking for opportunities to do stuff like that. So even at the event, if you have idea for streaming that you want to bring to us, talk to us, and if it's something that we can feasibly do and we think is cool, we'll absolutely help you set it up.
Awesome. Yeah, because I mean, personally, I would like to be able to show a lot of people who watch the Northern Nerd Network sort of what's going on at the event and stream it as well as much as I can and do show people that I'm gaming for that whole time.
Yeah.
When you donate to the Northern Nerd Network page or whatever it was, like to us, which is going to the stallery and to everything else and to this whole event, then they can actually see, I'm going to be there for the full 24 hours and I'm going to be gaming and playing board games, which I'm going to figure out a way to stream that as well. So
have fun with that.
It should be
What's that phone app? There's a phone app for that, isn't there?
That was the one that Chelsea would.
Serena was talking about Periscope.
Periscope. Yeah, you can Periscope it.
Because Periscope it. We will figure something out. I will find a way. I think that might be very expensive if I Periscope, unless I get in. Is there Wi-Fi there?
I think there will be.
Okay, so if there's Wi-Fi, then I might be able to just log into the Wi-Fi and figure it out. But yeah, so hopefully we'll figure something out, and we'll bring that to everybody. If you're going to be watching on this channel. I will find. I'm working on some details and trying to figure out how to get it all to work out. I think I might have to do a split between YouTube and Twitch to do all that. Which I want to announce that I will be playing this game, which is Halo 5. On that day, I'm going to go through the whole campaign. That's my goal for the day.
So what are you going to do with the other 20 hours?
Yeah. And board games. Board games is a big thing for me, so I love board games, and I will start playing some
I gotta ask.
Or Destiny.
How do you feel about the no split screen co-op? Or no split screen or co-op?
Oh man.
That basically made me not want to buy it.
Yeah, okay, already I'm not a big fan of what 343 has done to Halo as it is already. And Halo 5 is kind of my last straw. And so if it's any good, then I will keep going. But if they really drop the ball, which I'm almost thinking that it might be,
You're out. That's
I'll
it.
be out. And I mean, Bungie is really the reason why I like Halo in the first place. And guess what? Bungie makes
Destiny now.
And I kind of like Destiny.
Yeah.
A lot. I've been playing that game since day one, and the beta. So I mean, it's a ton of fun, and I'm kind of hooked, and I could just keep playing it. So I mean, really, I could be doing the raid, and you guys can watch me do the raid, probably for the first time, because every time I try that thing, I just can't, or I don't have enough time to do it. So that'll be a couple hours at least.
See, what you're saying about Halo is how I feel about Assassin's Creed, where I played every single one of those games, like all of them, and then I played what was the last one? The one in France. Unity?
Yeah, Unity. I have that one too, and it's like
so frustrating in so many ways that I was just like, I'm done with this. And now they've completely cut out all of the Abstergo stuff and all of the real world stuff that made that franchise interesting in the first place.
Yeah.
So all right, I'm done.
And then I heard that this new Assassin's Creed is getting some good reviews. It's just like
but it's just
why
little too late.
They have a hard time with it seems like every second year they come out with a decent Assassin's Creed. So Black Plague was awesome, and then Unity was not so awesome. But this one is supposed to be really awesome. It's just I'm not a huge fan after I think it was Assassin's Creed 3. And
a lot of people didn't like that game. I didn't have a problem with it. I don't know why everyone shit on it so much.
I just dropped off after that. I don't. It's not that I had a huge issue with it. It's just I don't know if I can.
Black Flag. I think that game is that's the best version of Sid Meier's Pirates ever made.
Yeah, it's awesome. I loved it. So, anyways, but that's about it, and that's all the time I think we have for the night.
Thank you so much
for
talking to us and telling us all about Extra Life.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Once again, where can everybody find you on the web?
Okay, so extra-life.org and search Extra Life Edmonton. Facebook, Extra Life Edmonton. Twitter is YAG Extra Life. And you can find us on email, extralifeedmonton@gmail.com.
And
awesome.
Dan, where can all of our wonderful listeners and viewers find us on the interwebs?
Well, we are all over the interwebs, and I keep forgetting to pull up my list of all the places that you can go, but you can find us on YouTube, obviously.
You don't have that memorized by now, man?
I know you would think I would figure this all out, but I have so many different times where I go Northern Nerd Network and Northern Nerd. So it's northernnerd.com. You can find us there. You can find us at youtube.com/Northern Nerd Network. Facebook at facebook.com/Northern Nerd. And on Twitter at Northern_Nerd. You can find us on Instagram. Just look up Northern Nerd. I don't know what it is.
And on the Pulp Press.
At what?
Pulppress.com.
And the pulppress.com, which is also a place that we frequent every so often. She puts up stuff, and I don't know the last time she put up something, but I gotta talk to her again, see if she can put up something.
But it's still a good place to visit regardless.
Yes, it is, and she's pretty awesome. So Paul Press is pretty good thing to go read. So go do that. that's it for today, and I want to thank everybody out there for watching this edition of the Nerdcast, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace.